Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. This is the Overwatch Craft podcast, where I'm going to be joined by my two other co-hosts, I guess, and our special guest. Let's introduce them. Let's start off with Rise. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing just fine.
Fine? That's nice. That's nice.
This is my
I
first
appreciate
podcast,
that.
so kind of
You're a little nervous.
Yeah, a little
nervous. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all good to be nervous.
It's
The coolest
good.
thing about podcasts is that you don't have to look at people, so you can take your pants off and just relax, just talk. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I guess.
I'd be right with looking at you people. Maybe with my pants on, though. And also, we are joined by Bailey, the other co-host. How are you doing?
Dude, who says I'm even wearing pants right now? What the heck?
I mean,
I'm
you
good,
don't have
I'm
to.
good.
You don't have to. There you go. That's the beautiful thing, is you don't have to. And then, of course,
Exactly.
we have our special guest, iKhonGG, head
Hello.
of Cal League, Softlock, now player for Enix. A little special guest for the very first episode.
Glad to be here. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty chill. We would talk about some cool stuff.
I mean, at least it's going to be stuff, right?
At least it'll be high quality, high octane stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I like the high octane
It's
stuff.
high octane. You got to go with the high octane.
So, this is going to be the first podcast, and hopefully a couple, at least two. That's the goal,
least.
right? We
That's
gotta
the
at
solid
least hit number
yeah, that's,
two.
that's the solid number.
The number 2 coming soon.
Oh, Papa bless you.
Number 2 coming soon.
So we actually
Probably
plan,
hitting that up next week.
we actually plan on having this podcast weekly at Friday, every time at 9 p.m. Eastern, with different special guests each week. What this podcast is going to cover is the eSports scene. We'll be talking about the meta and just different changes to the Overwatch, like heroes and different stuff like that, and the current meta, stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully it'll be good.
I feel like the best topic to start off your first
Mhm.
podcast with
Mm-hmm.
would be the price on that diva statue.
Let
I feel
Well,
like that's a
tell
good
you.
icebreaker.
let me
Let's
tell
just go
you,
right into that, boys.
we have Overwatch Blizzard. They just released an official. I'm sure you can get diva statues all over the place before this from some random Chinese companies. Sorry, I had to burp there. That was unfortunate. And but now they have their own official statue. It looks so good. It's so detailed. And it's also not meant for probably 80% of the people that play Overwatch.
You
'Cause
got a link for the young people in chat.
Do I have a link for the young people in chat?
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, you got
Oh,
it.
bless.
Awesome.
Thank you. Because let me hit you with this bonkers number. You can get it for the low price of $450.
Oh god, that's
The
more
low
expensive than
price.
any of the other statues.
Like, what the hell? Are they
I just
making
don't
like 100 of
understand
them?
why you would spend so much on just a tiny little figurine. I don't know. Maybe like people are just into that, but that's just not where I would spend $450.
If they put out other statues, like if they launched a statue line per se, and they had a lot of like entry level, like a lot of collectors and stuff love the shit out of these kind of things, right?
Mhm.
So if they put out a line, if they're going to be pushing like a statue thing, you can't start off with like high end unless this isn't their high end. But I mean, it looks pretty high end. It looks good quality.
It's pretty high end.
So
Yeah.
I feel like them coming out the gate with the best of the best. I can see where they're coming from that, but that's a really big turnoff for a lot of people that are looking to get into like the collecting. I know a lot of people who like to collect stuff from Overwatch and stuff, and they would like a statue like this or multiple statues like this. But I feel like that's a really steep number.
Well, this isn't their very first one. They
Oh, okay.
they sold other ones at BlizzCon. I know they had the Tracer one, which was in the $200 range. It was like $225, which is still not cheap, but it was also a very high quality statue. And then I believe they did a Widowmaker after that. I can't remember exactly, but
I feel like they should come out the gate with just like $100 statue, good detail. Like when you go into like GameStop and stuff, and you see those statues behind the cases that no one ever looks at and forgets that they're there.
Mhm.
Like those kind of statues.
Those
where it's
ones.
like It's like pretty good statue. It's like solid, you know, but it's like $100, $90, 95, whatever. But that's like a good entry level area for that kind of stuff, especially if it's a little bit bigger and it's not like a pop figure. You know what I'm saying? If they're pop figure sizes, that's
that'd be a little
that's
too
pizza
much.
money
Ooh,
right there, man.
that is. And they actually did do Nendroids as well. Nendroid had their own official Blizzard line too, where they had Tracer, maybe Reaper. I can't remember all of them. I'm not super into the collecting thing.
Yeah, I'm not either. Is this from Blizzard, right? It's directly from Blizzard?
This is directly from Blizzard, though.
Oh, okay.
So the only official ones directly from Blizzard that they license, and it's not like through some other company, is the Tracer statue and this statue, if I'm correct.
Tell you what, if it was life size, I would buy that statue.
Oh, in a heartbeat. Don't even.
That'd be crazy.
Because if it was life size, that money would be down the drain already.
We never see Joneski's ever again.
He'd just be gone.
We have to look at his Snapchat to get updates.
You look at my Snapchat,
Sleeping
see where
with
I'm
the
going
bae,
with
and
my
it's just
diva
him
statue.
Cuddling with a statue under bed.
Day 20
God
still
bless.
stuck in the diva mech.
Day 20. Oh my god. The worst part is I definitely try to fit in that thing and I totally wouldn't be able to.
Oh man.
But it's just the worst part is that I know it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell like crazy just because people love Diva. She's probably the most I'm pretty sure she's the most popular character in the game as far as like what the community likes. As far as especially making art for and like doing things like that. I think she's probably up there with most of the characters.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I fucking hate Diva. I don't know where you're coming from with that.
I love me some Diva.
Maybe it's the StarCraft connection that people kind of defaulted to her first off. I don't know. I don't really like her though.
I think she's just kind of broken with the defense matrix. Ever since they buffed the DM to instantly absorb like anything that comes their way, it's like really annoying to deal with in competitive.
Maybe. Wait, here we go. You're gonna have to come with me on this little journey. Because maybe they did that on purpose. Their goal is to make Diva OP.
So then people will
like her even more. And then buy the statue.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Some heavy meta, dude.
I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Just wait, next patch, Diva buff. It's incoming. I'm calling it right now.
Once they sell out, they just nerf her to the ground. Never hear from her again.
She's back in like the early days. Back in like the early launch days.
Whoever gets buffs after this, they just know a statue's coming for that person.
Yep.
76 buffs. Dude. Oh, looks like we're getting a life size.
Dude, Reaper's coming out. I'm telling you. That's the thing. Reaper's coming out. A Reaper statue now. That's the next one in line.
Oh, they have a Reaper statue. Don't they?
Oh, do they? Am I losing my... Oh, they probably do.
Yeah, Tracer, Reaper, and Widow are all 150. Then Diva's like 450.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a jump, though. That's a little crazy.
The next thing they need to do is release a life-size Reaper statue.
Life-size Reaper, though, is coming up because...
I feel like I'm asleep.
This is... I wouldn't... Not with that thing. Not with that. No, that thing would be staring at me and I'd be losing my mind.
Oh, man. Isn't he? Were you referencing to his buffs? I saw something about him getting buffs. If we can get that slick transition over to that,
we can. Yeah, I was trying to get that slick transition. And we can move over to the buffs. It's not the most recent patch notes, which were only bug fixes. But if you go back it's like 1.12.0.2. It's bleh. I don't know the numbers, but that's when they buffed McCree, they buffed Reaper.
They changed Roadhog.
They changed
Nerf.
They nerfed him to the ground.
So I've been a little out of the loop.
As well as the McCree buff.
You guys get any explanation? You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you
what's going on.
Tell me what's going on. Roadhog is so bad. Tell you that real quick. That's
they screw
these are hot takes right now. These are the hot takes.
Yes.
They
33%.
They made it so 33% damage decrease on his like left and right click.
Oh boy.
And they made his fire rate increased 33%, I believe is the numbers, and then they also gave him 5 clips. But it changes the whole kit of the character and the concept of being able to one-shot and do a lot of damage in a short amount of time. So it
It's super rare for you to get one shots now if you get a hook.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he's not
My poor
the
baby.
pick class he once was. I know. Little
Oh,
baby
man.
Roadhog.
I saved up so many of those of the gold points. Just unlock
competitive
his
points
golden
just to
weapon.
unlock his gun.
God.
The worst part is I just recently started playing him, right, maybe 2 weeks before the nerf. I really enjoyed him and figured out I was pretty good with him, and I climbed really hard, so I bought his gold gun, and then it's like they announced the nerf like a week later. I was so
Well,
hopefully
bummed, they have a
dude.
big casket for that body. We'll see you later. Ship him off.
Yeah, so at least have you guys really seen Roadhog much? Because I know we're all relatively high rated. I know you're like GM level, and Bailey, you hit top 500. I don't know if you're currently there, but I know you were there.
Yeah, I don't see Roadhog
Ever.
at all. Almost.
Yeah,
I mean, I never.
see him anymore.
Barely see him as well.
It's real sad.
Hi,
I miss
GM.
him. I miss getting hooked in one shot.
I've seen him played like a few times, but I've never seen like anyone really like play him well after the patch or like to where it's super effective.
No, I've seen him more in scrims mostly.
Yeah, but
Just-
that's why dive comp is so popular right now. Is
Yep.
because Roadhog just isn't what he used
Isn't
to be.
as good. He's so far when I've seen him in scrims, he's been played as a pretty much solely offensive hero, where you just go for a pick and then your team's able to help you out. Then usually with the coordinated teams, that's
Right.
the only time I see him, and that's still pretty rare. So
I think a coordinated team probably could pull something off because I mean, while Roadhog is nerfed, I think his mechanic of just being able to like pull the people into his team, like a good team should be able to like collapse on those targets. It just makes it a lot harder, especially with Diva being so popular right now as well. Just the defense matrix.
usually that's what we actually see is you see your Roadhog to counter just because, but your whole team, the second you get a hook, has to jump on him, and even then it's no good. Like they could have an Ana just nade the Diva, and usually they'll get out of there. But I miss Roadhog. But
So
the
Reaper,
other shotgun hero got a little bit of a buff. They changed
reaping.
his passive. Yep. Which is the reaping. Before, if you got a kill, it would drop a health orb. I believe it didn't full heal him. It was like 100 health or something. Maybe 150. I can't remember the. But-
yeah, I don't know the exact numbers on the souls. I know it's like
It just made him a super snowbally character where he could do really well, but as long as you were getting the kills, kill after kill after kill. Now, there's no more health orbs, and he just gets a flat 20% lifesteal, which is, for those that don't know what lifesteal is 20% of the damage you do is returned as health. So if you do 100 damage to someone, you get 20 health back. Boom. So that makes him a
That's
lot more
insane.
consistent.
That's insane.
Yep. It makes him one of the best dueling classes in the game, like 1v1 class.
I really hate him now.
Hope you guys like Beyblades.
As a support
It's
main, I
true.
kind of just like can't do anything when he comes close.
No.
You can't
You can't kill
1v1 duel him either. I mean, I'm a Symmetra main, so I'll just put it simply. If a Reaper walks up to me and shoots, I just can't deal with him like duel. Even if there's like a squishy target being healed, like he can basically walk up to you and one shot you. And like Reapers now with the buff, they don't have to be afraid of anything. Oh, well, they still have to like mind their position, but they can be less punished as well because they have the lifesteal. You also have to realize the buff to Reaper before this patch was when he goes into Wraith form, he gets his full clip back. He doesn't have to reload after he comes out of Wraith form. So that's another buff that they that makes some more meta. So
Yeah, now he's pretty strong. I still think that he needs somebody to really team up with him, pair up with him to enable him to play really well.
He's gonna be an awesome
just to
dueler
keep that
now,
aggressive
though,
play.
too.
He is so
Especially
good.
if
And
he hits shots.
it's so hard for him to die in his ult now too. So much. You jump into 3 enemies, killing without having any kind of CC, killing a nigh on impossible before at least 2 like squishies go down.
Yeah, I think this Reaper buff made a lot of people on NA very happy The amount of Reapers that I see on NA compared to EU is absolutely insane.
It's just well, don't you know? NA can't aim, so
It's true.
That's exactly
that's
why.
what it stands for. No aim. So
This
they're
is
just
true.
super excited.
You
Oh
just
man.
run into the team and hit Q and they win the game.
Yep.
I do think. Well, I've seen Reaper a lot. I've seen it even sometimes in the tournament. Like I watched. I didn't watch too much of the Open, but I watched Kong versus Renegades, and they were running Reaper every once in a while, like flexing onto it. So I'm wondering if it's coming into the meta as like one of the go-to picks. I do know in solo queue, it's definitely like for me like a tier 1 or tier 2 type of pick because I see these Reapers just go into these games and just absolutely destroy like whole teams and high GM, and they're just able to ult and kill everybody. But there are some criticisms to Reaper as well. Like there's still like heavy counters that you can run that make them just as ineffective. So we could probably talk about that.
Yeah, he still has a lot of the same issues. I mean, obviously the McCree is really good against Reaper. You just essentially save your flashbang if you think he has ult up, or anytime he's close at least, you hit him there, he's gonna die. That and a right click or that and 2 headshots if you can hit him quick. I still feel like Tracer is really good against Reaper, just being able to keep out of range. Maybe actually not so much anymore with the lifesteal, but before she was. I haven't seen that matchup quite as often. And then D.Va. I mean, D.Va's still a solid counter to Reaper. It blocks a lot of the damage. Gonna block a lot of that ult with the defense matrix. As long as you have like 1/3 up, that's a majority of Reaper ult that's not there anymore.
100%. Yeah, I think that's like the strongest block to Reaper is just the D.Va defense matrix. And on top of that, I think Zenyatta is a pretty good counter as well with the trance and just the Discord to burn him down when he shows himself.
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, I didn't really think about that. You're able to burst him down really a lot more effectively with that. But I guess the only other buff that happened, well, that was a buff. The only other hero change was the McCree buffs. And it was only to his ult, if I'm correct. Let me make sure on that. Yeah, it was only to his Deadeye. So now it, instead of beginning to lock at 0.8 seconds, it starts at 0.2 seconds. So it's a lot easier to just get like those solo Deadeyes really quick if you need to. If, say, you don't have a shield, it makes McCree be able to play a lot more like a flanker if they want to, instead of having to play behind a Reinhardt shield, which is on top of now the many reasons with the Roadhog nerf and that too, making dive even better, even if you do have, say, a McCree player that likes that a lot more than a soldier.
I don't know. I don't think McCree is where he should be, but he's better than where he was.
Yeah, I'm with you there. McCree still just isn't as good as 76, except for like counterpicking specific things, but it's getting there. It's getting better. He's almost viable compared to soldier. For me, the heal is just too strong. Yep, the heal is just too strong on soldier, like over McCree, and well, his damage output is still higher in general. Even if
I think soldier is just the go-to pick there.
I still prefer running McCree into like a Pharah though. That'll make it a lot easier, but otherwise it's all about soldier.
Yeah.
So you would just buff his damage output then to make him more? Is that how you would balance him, or like to bring him up to par?
If I had a choice, it would probably be, this might not be very popular, but to buff his right click a little more. Just to give him that added close range, like burst damage, because as long as they're hitting headshots, he does plenty of damage, but when you're not hitting headshots, his damage is so much lower than soldier, which soldier doesn't have to hit headshots to do plenty of consistent damage. So I don't know. He's in a tough place to balance without making him just straight better than soldier.
Yeah, you remember when he was better than Widowmaker?
Yeah, he had no drop off.
Cross map headshot one tap.
Yeah, you would get. Yeah, it was pretty nutty. Those were the good old days.
Man.
And then,
Ay.
God, you have to remember, and back when Widow was just like Widow would literally carry teams, even the pro teams. Having a good Widow player would just carry your team the whole way through. That was nutty. I'm glad those days are over, though. Those days I didn't like.
I haven't really played too much Orisa since she's come out. But there has been some changes with her as of late.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to explain this to me, since I'm a little out of the loop?
You're right. This is that's actually how another reason Ryan isn't so popular right now is because she got her shield, which has a 900 health, into from a 12-second to an 8-second cooldown. And then also there was that bug on her ultimate they changed where if you used her ult during her ult, the ult would be able to charge again. They made it so her ult has to be used completely and has to go away or get destroyed before you can charge it again.
Yeah,
I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, that's a bug. Yeah, that's a bug. So that needed to get fixed, but she still doesn't feel like in a very good place right now. She's not bad for certain comps, and she does a lot of consistent damage. Probably one of the higher damages in the game overall. But she just is so immobile, and against
that's her weakness.
Yeah, against dive right now, any class, any character, hero, whatever you want to call him, that's really immobile just gets picked so quick and just targeted so fast.
Tracer can just go behind her shield and headshot hitbox is huge too. So
it's a super easy kill on Orisa.
Yeah.
Which well, we can talk about the meta then too, because that's one of the reasons she's so bad is just because dive is so popular right now. If this was still more of a Reinhardt shield meta like it has been since almost the beginning of the game, like there was one other period in time where dive was really popular, and that was maybe for just only like a few weeks, and then it went back to Reinhardt for the most part. But now it's just you almost never see him. You almost never see him, at least in team play. And competitive, you'll still see him pretty often, just because the coordination isn't there. But
there's still some comps that have him, but it's just like
in certain maps.
I feel like Tracer and Genji can just the same for Orisa, like go past them, and if your team's running full dive, there's not much Orion can do in that situation if everyone's just walking past him or focusing.
He just becomes a close range damage dealer at that point too, because his shield is going to be worthless, which wouldn't be a horrible way to play him because he does do a lot of damage. I mean, it's 75 damage per swing, but you'd probably rather have a Winston that can then do a counter dive to jump on their backline and put pressure on their supports.
More mobility type of deal. Yeah.
And just the more mobility means you're just not going to die as fast. Like Reinhardt really can't get picked off very fast against a dive if he's not careful. Especially if they have a Zenyatta. It's usually over for the Reinhardt. That's one thing that's super popular actually is the Zenyatta, just because as long as everybody focuses that one character, even with the nerfs. I remember when they buffed Zenyatta, this was a while ago. I want to say this was like 3 to 4 months ago now, almost 6 months ago maybe, when they had the Zenyatta buff. That's all you saw being run, and it was just discord someone and just burn them down. It didn't matter who it was because they would die no matter what. And it's kind of turning to that now again with the dive being so popular, where you just run a Zenyatta. You discord someone, and again, it doesn't matter who it is, you just kill them.
They just die.
Yeah, you throw the Winston bubble over them, and it can't do anything.
Do you, Joneskis, do you like the Orisa Reinhardt tanks more than the more mobile ones? Like, what is your preference as far? Like, are you okay with the dive meta right now, or would you rather see them try to focus on bringing all of the beef of the team, the front line? Would you like to see them more on the same level?
Well, I mostly just want diversity in the tanks because I'm an off tank player, so I pretty much can do anything but Reinhardt is what I play. I just don't. He's just not my jam.
Hype for Doomfist.
And there you go. I just gotta wait for Doomfist. I don't see Doomfist being a tank. I see him being an assassin, almost like a bruiser. I think he's gonna be an offensive DPS.
I can see like a.
I think he's gonna have a pretty decent amount of mobility, kind of deal. Vi, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna play like that. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
like kind
But-
of mediocre. It's kind of like a Mario, like has decent health, does decent damage. You know what I'm saying, like the average.
Yeah.
Super Smash.
But
I think that would bring some more defaults to as well.
I think it'd
like
be
a
more
good,
diversity.
a good team
Yeah.
pick. When you don't know how to beat a team, or you don't know what you're going to be going up against, or how teams plays, you can just fall back to like a very solid like default.
Yeah, because right now with the tank meta, there isn't that much diversity, as Jones guys said, because I feel like the meta right now is very mobile types of compositions. So characters like Zarya, even Roadhog. I mean, Reinhardt can be mobile, but it's not necessarily like all the time. So characters like that fall short to Diva Winston. And it's not necessarily all because of mobility. I feel like some of it's because like Zarya, not everyone's going to be focusing her bubbles, and also the fact that Diva is strong to the point where you can kind of block out grabs. So against like higher tier teams, it's not. I don't know. I think Zarya still can be spicy at some points, and especially with Reaper, I see more people running her. But that's something to maybe be discussed.
No, she can
Also,
still be
Orisa
played
is-
from what I've seen, but she's just not that great compared to what she used to be. Like she doesn't. It's much harder for her to get the energy up, especially if they're running a diva. That makes things a lot harder for obvious reasons. Mostly for grav. But a lot of your damage ends up coming from your particle cannon, from your right clicks and the little bombs, because you get the AOE higher. You get more ult charge from it, and a lot of that can and will get blocked out by a diva.
Yeah.
And I play a lot of Zarya, and I've struggled recently just to be able to get enough charge. Like, to be on consistently, like, 50 and up charge is really tough.
I agree. You pretty much have to save it for ultimates, and at that point, you're not building your ultimate, like, effectively as you could with other characters.
And so, Diva's just kind of the way to go right now. And that's really what I don't like to see. I don't like to see a lot of mirror comps, and that's exactly what it is right now. You're seeing just people play the same exact heroes into each other, and it does make it so the better team really will win, but that's not interesting from a spectator standpoint.
Yeah, that's not fun at all. Do you think it's because of the shortage of having like a bigger roster of characters to pick from, or is it just like how the balance is right now, that people are just going for what's in or what they think is the best, like this 2-2-2 dive comp thing? Like, you know how meta works. It's the best until someone figures something else out, and then that kind of goes for it. But
it's really
it's more
balancing, I think.
Yeah, I think it's more balancing as well. But I feel like if we had more of those, I'm going to say this again, more of those Mario characters, that we'd be able to see some variants and stuff, instead of just kind of like rock, paper, scissors with these team comps and these metas where it's like, oh, they're doing dive, we do this. Oh, they're doing this, we do this kind of thing. Being able to, as at least a team player, being able to approach the scene or approach a tournament with a fresh new comp, something that not in the meta stuff that can be very viable, I think is a very important thing for this scene. Like you see it in a lot of other games as well, where a team will pick up an off meta hero and just destroy with it, or just do really, really well. And we don't really see too much of that, if at all, really, in Overwatch, because of how the meta and the short character count is. But I mean, over time, hopefully. But as far as them pushing a lot of heroes out, what we got 2 this year?
It's just that
it's gonna be a while.
Each character is so diverse, and they do have obvious counters, like you're talking about. It makes it tough for you to play something that's not super meta, because it's meta because it counters almost everything else.
Because there's no diversity. Yeah,
there's such little diversity in the amount of characters, and it feels like they're going with like a league thing where they're just keeping a certain few characters really like buffed up to make sure like the meta doesn't get too crazy, like League does, but they have a roster of 22 characters, while League of Legends has a roster of over 100. So
I think another reason, like, on top of diversity, that the meta is kind of just a skill matchup, which is, I agree, it's pretty boring, because there's like obvious counters to some things. Like they'll both run Reaper into Winston, but just like it's like who can dive the Reaper better, but they don't recognize like they don't try to like adjust their comps or anything like that just because it's most optimal. But I think another reason for why we're seeing that in the meta is because I feel like a lot of like the tier 1 teams are just running what they have like success with, and maybe even some of the tier 2s and tier 3s, they're like, a lot of the teams I feel like are just kind of afraid to experiment and like try new comps and stuff that could work, and it requires like more practice, so they're just practicing like these specific comps that can go into tourneys. So maybe even it's like a problem of the fact that they're not diving into trying to help people change the meta either. Like they just want to keep to what's working and what's winning. So everyone is
I
like,
feel
okay,
like-
this is working. Let's like copy paste this.
I feel like a lot of that has to come down to let me try that again. A lot of it has to come down to the mindset of a lot of these players as well. When I was playing on teams and when I was really deep into the scene as a player, I met a lot of people that would genuinely get mad or get upset when you ran off meta stuff. And it was like, we're just in scrims, or, you know, we're just trying stuff out. We're in quick play, we're in ranked. Like, let's experiment, let's try, let's figure out if we can do something else that's off meta that would work. And I've met a lot of people that would genuinely get really upset or mad or toxic or tilted if you didn't run what meta was. And it's like, right now our meta is completely determined by what the pro players are doing. They figure something out, they do something new because of their specific counters to their specific matchups. Say like Team A and Team B. We know Team B is really good at dive comp, so Team A figures something out that works good against dive comp, whatever it is, and then that becomes the new meta because it beat that specific team, and everyone just copies it.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how it goes in almost every game. But I feel like it's even worse now because of the shortage of characters. So I feel like if we got more openness and more players being okay with trying stuff out in scrims. Like I don't know what goes on in every team, of course, but at least when I was playing, it was very, very hard to try and to do off meta stuff.
That definitely hits close to home because I have a team for the open division right now, and like we're not great. We're just kind of doing it for fun. But it's still like, instead of trying things, like I want to be like, hey, let's run this Torbarissa, and they're like, no, just counter dive. No, counter dive. No, counter dive. No, let's go dive. And I'm like, I don't want to play Winston for 4 hours a day. Come on, guys. But
I mean,
that's
even a lot of people don't
kinda
understand
what
that
it is.
either, because they look at these top tier teams and they say, oh, okay, Team A is doing dive against Team B, so we're going to start running dive all the time because they did it really awesome. When it was a very specific in a vacuum situation for them to run that kind of thing against the other team. In most cases, that's usually the situation. And so they pick it up. And they don't realize that a lot of these teams that you're playing, especially in like open division or lower end tourneys, mid tourneys, you know, semi-pro teams, whatever, that they're not going to be as good or as together as a lot of these pro players are. A lot of these pro teams are. Like these teams have been playing for a long time together. A lot of these people know each other from past games and stuff too, and they're still sticking together. So they have a lot of chemistry there, and they understand how to play each other, so they can pull off these crazy plays or these crazy comps that work, that become meta because of the situation that they're in. Like if we grabbed 2 random people and made a team right now and went into ranked and tried some new stuff out, or tried something that was coming up on the brink of meta or is meta, we probably wouldn't be able to do it anywhere as near as close as any of these other teams, of course. But that's just kind of the reality of things. So I would like to see more. Lower tier meta systems, like or meta scenes, as far as the pro has their own strats, their own scenes, their own whatever, their own comps, and then we see some more diversity lower on. I think that'd be really cool, especially if it kind of edges the pro scene to be a little bit more diverse as well. But I don't know, you can't really do too much. The Overwatch scene so far has been very like straight and narrow. It's really, really hard to do much with it. It's a rock solid wall, if you will. So we'll see.
So Tricky in chat just kind of said that it kind of does play to make sure my mic is not muted. Yeah, it's not. Okay, it kind of does play to like there's just nothing left to try, and it's, I guess, lack of diversity, which we were talking about something else, but let me read it more word for word. Dive is just way stronger, and there's no counter to it except mirroring or doing it better. No one wants to put themselves in a disadvantage by picking something else.
Yeah, I mean, we agree. We were just saying like if we had a more diverse roster, it would be a lot easier to do
Right.
different other stuff. That would be
Mhm.
like the best situation. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it sucks. I hope they're not, and I honestly hope that they're not trying. Like they took Overwatch from TF2, clearly, whatever. So they took the idea from that or whatever other idea that they had, but it's very heavily based on what TF2 was. And I'm hoping that they didn't try to make a clone. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't try
Yeah.
to be like, oh, well, TF2 has a very small roster, so we'll be able to do it no problem. Instead of trying to be like, all right, let's just make a cool game. Let's more characters. Yeah, let's add more characters in instead of adding in 1 or 2 a year. I feel like that's so low, man. That's
Yeah,
so
they should
low, and that also
upgrade the production, like just speed it up. But they also want to make sure
yeah.
it's like quality, so I guess it's
They have their reasons, and that's fine. But I wish it was different. I think most of us wish it was a bit different. At least they're giving us content, though. Originally, we weren't supposed to get any new heroes, so at least we got slow but steady.
So I think like the teams that are like tier 1 probably do have a lot of strats up their sleeve to like counter stuff or just to experiment and just try out. And I think the different teams that are going to like innovate on whatever something new comes out or try it out, they might not even like release it to the scrim partners or anything like that until they need to, until they start losing
Yeah.
tourneys, and then they're just like, okay, this is the new meta. But with that being said, I guess we can start to look at some of the current tourneys going on and maybe see like what kind of comps they're running in and maybe what team is doing well. I think there's the Overwatch Open going on.
Yeah, there is Contenders going on,
Contenders, yeah.
which actually I have to see which
We also have the Open
every
League
team
that's
that made
starting,
it.
too.
There's the Open League, which is honestly a lot of amateurs
Tier 2
and
Tier 3.
a few tier 2s. The only 2 names that really popped out for me when I looked at that whole set of teams was Tempo Storm and CLG.
Yeah.
But Contenders had quite a few upsets. I mean, like for one of the really big up and coming teams that you saw, EG isn't in there. You're not seeing, obviously CLG isn't in there, Temple Storm isn't in there. C9 isn't in there too, if I'm correct. Kungarna beat them.
Yeah, I think Congarna was a huge upset when they beat C9. It wasn't really expected, but I mean,
Well, actually, no. CLG is in there, so they're playing in open. They're playing in Contenders and they're playing in open. That's right. I did see
that'll
some.
be interesting.
Yeah, that's weird. One that I'm kind of surprised on is Toronto eSports. They had some big roster shifts about 2 or 3 months ago, and you really didn't see too much from them. But they came up. They're doing really well right now.
Yeah, their new
And
roster's really strong.
it's really good because I remember when they were over in Cali, they just weren't doing too hot. And you guys get paid is actually what to look out for. Those are a lot of guys that we've seen before. Like Moffat. Who did Moffat play for? He was a solid guy though. You have Psycho Waffle. He played for Method, I want to say. You have Moporg. I can't remember. I don't think Moporg ever played for a big org, but he was always really good. And of course that's one of the guys that aren't on a. They're kind of one of the meme teams
Moffat was on
that aren't
Splice
signed.
before.
Splice. That's it. I don't. Okay, that makes sense because I don't.
Play for Spice.
Because I don't count Splice.
Waffle was on Method, and they got picked up. They were one shot.
One shot, yeah.
Method picked up one shot with Waffle and all those other guys.
Yep.
Beast in them.
And then you have FNRGFE. I don't know what that stands for, but they have like Clockwork from Splice. They have Cool Matt and Buds from Fnatic. Enigma was from Luminosity. I don't think he made the NRG change when they did that big old swap, but then they have like Boink who did Boink play? I know the name, but I can't remember who he played for. But either way, like there's some really cool teams in there that I'm surprised that some are in there. Like Arc 6. Like there's some I really have never heard of. Like Arc 6 I have no.
That's yikes.
Okay.
Yeah, they switched the name.
They just switched the name. Okay, never mind. That makes sense. Okay, those guys are solid.
Yeah, that's the former Denial team.
Yep.
But they
Well,
recently
they're the
dropped
former new
Dahan,
Denial.
actually.
Did they actually drop Dahan? Really?
Hmm.
That's surprising. I thought he was a really solid player. But either way. Good luck to really all teams. Do you have any like projected outcomes for who's probably going to win Contenders here? From everyone you see? I guess we should run down the full list of everybody that's in there first. But we have OG Evil, we have Chronologic Gaming, we've C9 that's in there, Selfless Gaming, Arc 6. Why did I say C9 wasn't in there? They're obviously in there. They did get beat by Kongarna though. So Kongarna did make it in. They're there. Tempo Storm's in there. Hammer Esports is in there. Renegades is in there. Team Liquid is in there. Immortals, Toronto Esports, FaZe Clan. You guys get paid. Envision and FNRGFE.
I personally think that LG Evil's probably going to pull it out. I mean, they just have the best roster there is for all of them, so I think that they're just going to be the ones that end up winning it all.
They're really good. I really want Selfless to win, though. I like a lot of the Selfless guys a lot. And just, I think their story is really great. How they really didn't make any roster swaps. Or too many, and they just tried to grind it out with their team when they weren't like super hot early in the game, and they came up to be one of the better guys and one of the better teams in NA now. But yeah, I mean, I just think their DPS are so good on LG Evil, particularly Jake is just fantastic. So that's gonna be a tough group though. But I think it is gonna
I don't
come
even
down
think
to the two.
Selfless is in anymore. I thought they got dropped out.
Did
for
they
the
get dropped
playoffs.
out? Because it says right now they're a qualified team for NA that I'm seeing. Maybe this is out of date.
Might
I'm
be
looking
because
at,
the playoffs
but-
are Immortals, FaZe Clan, LG Evil, Kongarna, 5-Hour Energy, Renegades, FNR, GFE, Team Liquid, and Envision.
Oh, okay.
What are you guys' opinions on Team Liquid? With
Team Liquid.
Shatter.
I don't know. It just like they have some. Shatter's really good. I think I like Rafa a lot, and I think AZK is decent. They don't really stand out to me, I guess.
They are I don't know if this is like outdated, but 3-3-0 was their stats for Group A for June 25th.
Yeah, I'll give you guys the playoff links.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Because I don't know, I just don't see them as a team that stands out super well. Thank you. Yeah, I just had an updated link. That feels bad. But I do want to see how. Well, I personally know people on Envision, so I'd like to see them go all the way. But no offense, I don't. I don't think they will. But
Yeah, Luminosity in Group B is playoffs. Group B has already been like Toronto and you guys. It looks like they're already out for playoffs. But Luminosity
Yeah.
is 6-0, so
they're probably gonna take it.
group
I bet.
stage.
Yeah, they're just so good right now. They've been good. They've been on a hot streak for a while now. So
Luminosity pretty good, fam.
yeah, LG Evil, not old Luminosity. Do they have just a regular Luminosity roster? Because I thought they had a European roster that they dropped not too long ago, if I'm correct. Because they just weren't performing.
I think so.
But yeah, Contenders looks to be pretty good coming into playoffs here.
I feel like it'll be a bunch of fun games though.
Actually, Immortals. Immortals definitely has a chance. I don't know why I didn't mention Immortals. I think Immortals has a good
another
chance.
Team, yeah. I think they were like.
I think the most interesting game is going to be the LG Evil versus Kongarna, just because Kongarna has come so far.
I think so too.
That's going to be a fun game to watch. It's one I'll have to be looking for. I also am interested in seeing the Renegades game versus FNRG. Should be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I have a few friends playing, so I'm kind of like secretly rooting for them, but also
Rooting for
just
the people that
kind
are
of, you know,
playing.
yeah.
Well, we do have another tournament waiting to go on. It is a little bit different, a little less competitive, some people argue. The Overwatch World Cup. And that's going to be obviously at BlizzCon. as it is, as it was last year. I think they definitely did this a lot earlier than before, though, so teams have a lot more time to play together. But one thing is, I don't see a lot of, I don't see a lot of this like really solid players that I was seeing before this year.
I think the group for USA it's pretty solid.
You think the team is?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they have J. Cole, Matt Sinatra. Actually, I lied.
Yeah.
I saw.
It's pretty OP, actually.
It's not bad, yeah.
Rockets
Who is
from FaZe, Adam from C9. I'm not sure what team Fact Fiction is from.
I don't know what he's from too. That's actually what I was gonna ask. I don't know him.
I'm glad you said his name because I had no idea how to pronounce that.
I'm pretty sure that's
good at pretending.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Fact Fiction.
Yeah.
I was like, who is FCTN? I can't even imagine trying to cast if his name was actually FCTN.
That'd be a fun pursuit.
That would be interesting to watch.
That's a cool ass name though. After it's been revealed.
I like it.
It's a cool ass name. Yeah.
Fact Fiction plays for FaZe Clan.
I like it.
So he's
like
on the main roster, I believe.
I want to see how Chinese Taipei is though. If you look in that group G, I always am super interested to see how China is. Overseas. Yeah, not as much Korea because you can see there's so many Korean. There's Apex. Yeah, there's so much of that. Yeah, but like China is always super. I'm always super interested in their FPS scene.
Yeah, I haven't researched any of their players.
Exactly, I haven't either. But
it might be a fun match to watch, like USA versus Taipei, China. So it should be pretty cool.
Every time I hear the word Taipei, the first thing that comes to my mind is Taipei Assassins.
Yeah.
Yep.
League of Legends
from a long time ago.
That's like season 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. God dang.
So, are there any other teams from World Cup that catch your eye?
New Zealand, because
obviously
New Zealand
South Korea.
Awesome.
South Korea is obviously gonna have a strong team. Manazumba. I don't see a ton of names I remember. I haven't kept up on Apex as much as I should. Like Rouge Hong and Flower, I know, but that's about it. But
France's team is essentially Rogue.
It
literally is Rogue.
Do they finally have the power team instead of like last year where they had wasn't that the big drama? They had the streamer and then they had like he picked 2 of his friends or whatever instead of having like a really solid France team. Oh, you're right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's literally Rogue.
It's Rogue.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
so France is going to be one to look out for. I mean, that's something that feels kind of.
They're going to win their group stages.
Oh, for sure. But I don't know. That's something. I guess I didn't hear too much about that. As far as making that, but I feel like that should have caused maybe a little bit of controversy among the internet kids, just because that's a full team. That's always
I feel
all
like
play together playing in World
some
Cup.
Kind of rules against that, it's
team stacking.
I feel like there's,
but I mean they are the most popular
unfairness.
French players now. So.
I mean it makes sense, but at the same time it's like
that
feels a little unfair.
On, Team Spain.
Real.
Good old I mean, when you look at France compared and like maybe South Korea has a chance, and then everyone else, I'm sorry, but it's gonna be hard to compete. Maybe Canada might.
I think Canada
they have a decent
will win
team.
The groups. They look like the strongest.
Yeah, in Group F.
I mean,
I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Russia
looks good. Russia looks really good. So.
Those will be fun matches to watch.
It's tough.
Russia.
Almost positive Group E is won by South Korea. Group G probably won by USA. I actually don't know who will win Group H. I'm thinking maybe Germany.
Group H with Spree though.
Oh,
Group H is kind of an interesting group, actually.
Yeah, I mean the only one I don't know people from is Israel, but
I don't on Germany.
No offense, I don't count the UK
and
for
Smeck's
FPS
on
games.
the UK.
I don't count the UK for FPS games.
Well, Smeck's is really good though.
He is. Smeck's. It's just my awful values that I don't count UKs in FPS games.
What about
I just know how bad they are at CS, and it just carries over.
South Korea is gonna win E, I think.
Oh, for sure. I think Group F is pretty hard.
Well, they got Morty and Too Easy on Netherlands.
Yep. I think in Group D, right above that, that's gonna be who? I think Finland looks really good. I don't. What about Spain?
Finland's pretty good.
That's gonna be between I think Finland and Spain. But again, I haven't seen anything from Japan or Vietnam. Like the Asian countries, the Far East countries are usually so good at games
About
like this. Like they're just
sleeper.
so into it. Yeah. So you never know with those.
The
But
resident sleepers.
Group D is probably going to be between those two. So far, most of the teams aren't really like decided right off the bat. Most of the groups, at least, there's maybe two or three. Three of them are like for sure decided.
Yeah, then you just have
At least in my
the
mind.
whole team Rogue on one team.
Yeah, exactly.
God bless. Smart Pro in chat says, "What about a new country like from South America?"
So there is
I mean, there's
Brazil in Group G.
Brazil.
I
Brazil!
haven't heard of any of the players from that roster actually, but I'm not.
that's my same issue. I
Being
think with
active.
South America is I just don't know a lot of the players from there.
Yeah.
Besides Brazil, what else we got from down there? Is that it?
No, there's Portugal that I saw.
Portugal.
There's
Yeah, I saw,
Argentina.
I see Portugal.
Yeah,
Which
I
is more
think that might
Argentine. Argentina's
Argent-
not down there.
Argent-
Cross,
Argentina's down there. Okay, I think that's it then. Portugal, Brazil, Argentina.
So
Awesome. That's your solo World Cup
yeah,
review coming from
should be kind of
OWCraft.
fun to watch.
I don't know. I think South Korea or Rogue is gonna take it.
I think
I'm
at
not
least
even gonna
the
call it
finals
Team
will be pretty
France.
cool.
I'm not gonna call it France. I'm calling it Rogue. It's Rogue. You're not France anymore. You're Rogue.
Is that's literally all 6 players from Rogue?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all 6.
All 6 players from Rogue.
Oh my!
I don't know how they pulled. They are the most popular French players now. At least people kind of realize like, oh, we probably don't want a streamer on our team.
Is nobody else? Nobody else from France?
I guess not
Man.
popular. I guess
That's actually very surprising. Whatever they did to pull that off. man.
I know they must
Hats
have
off for
have
real.
pulled some strings.
Hopefully they got some good knee pads or something.
That's exactly what I'm saying, man.
So a few more things about, I guess, the competitive scene. We have our special guest on the show, just
Who that
guesting
is?
for our first podcast that we're doing from OWCraft, and that would be no other than iKhonGG. He is the owner of Softlock and CalLeague, if I got that correctly. So
Mhm.
do you want to kind of
Hello.
go into who you are and what you do, and talk about CalLeague maybe and Softlock?
Yeah, I can give you a little spiel, a little rant here for a second. I am Kyle. My name is Kyle. I am 26 years old. I live in Rochester, New York with my beautiful girlfriend. I started CalLeague right before or right during the first beta wave of Overwatch. That's when we started things going on. I do graphics on the side. That's one of my main sources of income. I am a graphic artist, per se, if you will. I'm
Debatably.
currently playing. I can
check
move some
them out
pixels
for
around.
graphics,
Dude.
guys.
They're actually sick. Like I
I
got my
can
full
move some pixels
Twitch
around, dude.
package. Yep.
My actual like Twitch avatar and everything I use and like for all my headers is actually designed by iKhonGG, so recommend him. He has pretty cheap prices and it's always good quality. So sorry to plug you there, but
Oh no,
he
Plug
does.
all you want, sir. When you got no life,
Yeah, it's our
you
show.
start doing random stuff like,
But
hey, let me go get Photoshop. So that's what I do. I'm also currently playing for Enix. I am a breakaway player for Enix. I've been putting a lot of time into breakaway the last probably about 2 months or so. So I've been out of the loop a bit on the Overwatch side of things, but I left everything in very good hands with very smart people. So everything's been running very smoothly as far as day-to-day operations and stuff go over there. But yeah, so I started CalLeague first wave of beta of Overwatch, and then I wanted it to be primarily a source or a hub for competitive players to go to find scrims, to find teams, to kind of have all the resources that they would need to function as a team. So that's what I started out with. I played on a couple teams for a while until Cal League became more of like a baby, like it needed attention all the time. So I had to put all that stuff to the side, and I really focused on just on the Cal League aspect of things, pushing the community as far as I could, helping where I could, doing as much stuff as I could. After a while, we started doing events. The community told us, hey, you guys should start doing events. You guys should start doing cool stuff. So we brought some fun community events off to the table. We started doing weekly events. And then from there, we kind of went into more serious stuff as time went on, as we got more staff, as we got more support. That's kind of where we're at today. I didn't really start it off thinking that it would grow to be, I think we're almost at 25,000 members now.
That's crazy.
I didn't really expect it to be that way. I was kind of like hey, maybe I can get, like 20 teams, 30 teams in here, and we can have a regular spot to go to find scrims and whatnot. But hopefully it's a resource that people can use and they're using till its full potential. And hopefully it'll be used for the foreseeable future. So we shall see. We shall see.
So I've heard the more serious tourneys and events going on would be the Athena Cup that you guys are producing as well from Softlock, right?
Yeah, so Softlock is Cal League's parent company. We created an LLC company. That way we can start doing cooler things, start bringing up the production side of everything, and hopefully bringing more content to people and things to do for teams, basically. So we created Softlock as the parent company, gave us a lot of more freedom to do maybe other games or anything else that we wanted. So underneath when we did that, a couple months went by, we decided to move the Cal League Open every Sunday. We decided to move that, or it was Fridays back then, right? It was on Fridays back then.
It was always Sundays.
It was really awesome.
It was always Sundays. We never changed
we
the
moved
date.
Minutemen. We moved Minutemen.
Yeah.
That's right. My bad. So we changed the Cal League Open to the ACOL, the Athena Cup Open League. We thought a brand change and doing something under Softlock would be good. The biggest complaint that we've ever received from anyone or anything I've ever heard about Cal League was that, quote unquote, it's like the place for the diamond players to go, the gold players to go, platinum players to go. Like,
right.
So we decided to do a brand change for the Open. Hopefully that it would bring less. I don't know what to say. Less.
So open to a more like brandable name where it can appeal to.
Yeah, like not stuck to Cal League, because we really tried to help everyone. Like if someone came into Cal League and was like, "Hey, I want to learn how to cast," or "I want to learn how to produce," or anything like that, we were willing to help anyone with anything that we could. It wasn't really just dedicated to finding scrims and stuff. We try to use it as to help anyone with anything that we could. So after we started doing a lot of that, we started teaching people how to do stuff and started doing other random fun events. Like we have the Minuteman, which is a solo queue tournament that happens every Friday. We started doing that, and I think that was our first event, actually. Right? It's 8 p.m. EST. Okay. Sorry. Nice. I've been talking about PST times for so long now that I forget EST stuff when I live in EST.
I'm all EST.
So when we started doing that, and people kind of thought that was our main gig, and just kind of put two and two together and was like, oh, well, if this is their main thing and this is the kind of quality of players that come to show up at a solo queue event, then their Open is going to be kind of shit. So we decided to do a brand change and go over to Softlock, do a whole new revamp. And it worked. It worked really well. We had a couple of companies come up to us. We were able to negotiate a pretty okay prize pool. It was at almost $1,500 at the end. We're still in the process of closing up all that, getting all that situated and everything else. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes with events like these. So working on season 2, trying to come up with more ideas. Open for feedback, open for any ideas that the community kind of wants. Like this was plopped on our laps, so we are still very much open to what the community wants. If a large group of people came to us, or if there was a poll or anything like that with any good ideas or things that the community wanted to see, we're more than happy to try to figure out what we could do with it. But yeah, the ACOL, Evil Geniuses actually won this past season. I think it was 2 Sundays ago was the final. They won, and it was a very intense last set of games, the semis and the finals there. But the next season hasn't been announced. We're still working on it, trying to figure out what we want to do. And we're closing up this season still. So that's where we're at with everything with me.
Very cool. I was just going to ask, where did you, I guess, get started before this? Did you have, previous gaming orgs that you ran before Cal League and Softlock, or just any, management experience? Because That's something as like a org owner myself. I'm just like looking to see what else you had your
My
roots in.
my very first PC game ever very first computer game was StarCraft 2. So I bought a PC after I moved out of my parents' house, and StarCraft 2 was coming out right around the corner. That was the first game I bought, and I was heavily invested into that for a long time, up until HOTS came out. And I started a community there, much like Cal League, where me and my roommate at the time, one of my bandmates, I used to do the whole music thing. We were living together. We decided to make a team that was based on people coming in to learn about the game, to find resources, same general spiel as Cal League was. And we posted some things about it, trying to get some feedback, and we ended up having, I think, 1,500 people, active members in the community that we would do scrims. We would do, back then they were called clan wars. We would do tournaments, a bunch of cool stuff. We had a regular coaching for people and players that came in and were active, and it was a very friendly community with like a website and Twitter and all that stuff set up. After the birth of League, a lot of StarCraft players left. So
were you
we ended
still
up
more of a
focusing on
StarCraft guy, like at that point in time when League was coming out?
Yeah, I would ladder, and then I would use League games after a couple of hours of laddering to kind of calm down. So I'd play like 5 or 6 games of StarCraft, and that would be 2, 3, 4 hours, and then I would play a game or two of League, and then I would kind of switch back and forth. I use League as an escape for StarCraft, and over time, over the course of 4, 5, 6 months, I was enjoying League a lot more. I was having a lot more team interaction up until that point. This is like 2 years in of me having a PC and playing computer games. Up until that point, there was not a lot of team interaction. Not a lot of people like just hung out in voice. Everything was very text based. We had a large Skype group that people would call randomly with like 100 or 200 members in it, and you would have a couple people hang out in there, but so having a team aspect, being in voice with people constantly, being able to talk strats and do all this other stuff with friends was a very awesome feeling, was a very awesome thing to me. So I ended up sticking with that because overall it was just more enjoyable, less stressful at the start. There was times in StarCraft where I'd be laddering for hours and hours and days trying to gain points and trying to work my way up the ladder, and I would just like my mind would explode. I'd be on the floor like bawling my eyes out because I was so stressed. It was a very, very complicated and very hard game. It can really get to you if you don't preface yourself right. If you don't prep yourself right, if you don't go in with the right mindset and kind of know what you're going to be getting yourself into. So League was a very good out for me, and then it ended up being a main thing for a while. And then Counter-Strike came out, and I went over to Counter-Strike. After League, I didn't do much in League. I played on a couple of amateur teams and stuff before the LCS really was the LCS. We played at a bunch of community events and small tournaments and stuff when they were still around. And kind of came the same thing. It was very stressful playing with the team I was playing with. So I went over to Counter-Strike, and I played Counter-Strike solely for, I don't know, 3 years probably. And I played on a bunch of teams, played on amateur teams. I think the highest rank or highest level was ESEA main, SIVO main. I think that's the highest I played team-wise goes. And then I got a lot of my how to present myself, how to talk to people, understanding how people, like if someone comes up to you and they're very lax, that you can be lax back, and that's fine. Or if they come up to you very professional and very long sentences and big words and stuff, that you have to try to match that. All those little things I've kind of learned doing that kind of thing with Counter-Strike and with League and with the StarCraft stuff. But it really didn't hit me until I started managing for 2Arc. Managed 2Arc's HOTS team for almost a year, and that was probably 2 years ago now. They had a bunch of ex StarCraft 2 players on it. LZ Gamer, Sunshine was on it. Liquid Chef was on it. Kiwi Rice. These are players that I managed, and I went from a very amateur environment to trying to act like I was a professional, or I could be professional, to getting thrown into a completely professional scene with players that have been nothing but around that kind of professional atmosphere for a very long time. So I had to learn very, very quick what to do, what not to do, things I could say, things I could be lax about. and that gave me a real stern kick in the butt as far as all that stuff goes. And that's really where I learned the bulk of my management abilities was from when I was on 2ARC. I was there for, I think it was 8 months to a year. And then I left because Cal League was really hitting it off. I was still on 2ARC when I started Cal League. And
so
then
this was like at the start of Overwatch, you were still on 2ARC. That's pretty cool.
I'm still on 2ARC. And then a lot of those players are still playing. Crone is still playing. He was on the team. He's playing, or was playing, for Gale Force. He's now playing for an HGC team, on-site HGC team. But yeah, after Kelly started really kicking off, and I had to stop managing because it was taking too much of my time. Shortly after that, I had to stop playing on teams. Well, I stopped managing to play on teams for Overwatch, and then shortly after that, it was like 5 months after that, I had to stop playing on teams because I had to manage Cal League. But yeah, it's kind of just experience with just dealing with people, a lot of different types of people, man. There's everyone. You say something one way to somebody and they take it one way, and then you can be in the same situation with somebody else and it's completely different. So everyone's different. It's just kind of being able to roll with the punches is really the best thing you can learn from a lot of that stuff. I don't know if you or anyone else had any specific questions about any kind of management things or how-tos or how to be on a team or how to any of that stuff. I'm open to any kind of Q&A shit here.
Sure. Bailey, did you have anything to ask iKhon?
Nope.
Or Jones, guys? Because I have another question that I want to give.
Yeah, hit him up. I know everything I need to know about iKhon.
Yeah,
me and Jonesky sleep together, so.
I haven't had a chance to pick Kyle's brain too much. I was wondering, what kind of stuff did you do for 2ARC as a manager there? Did you do like any type of like sponsorship acquisition? Was it just kind of like PRing for the players and making sure they're all good, or? Because I'm getting into team management myself, so it's.
I did some sponsorship acquisition stuff. It wasn't like I wasn't the person to reach out. I was kind of more the person to maintain.
For that and stuff.
Yeah, they had all that stuff set up already, so they were really good with their staff and who was in charge of what and whatnot. As a team manager, your number one goal is to basically do everything for your players so they can just focus on playing. That is your job. Your job is to make sure that they're up on time, basically being their father. They're up on time. They're fed. They took showers. They warmed up before events, that they're on time for scrims, that you book the scrims ahead of time, that you make sure you maintain all your contacts and relationships with the other teams. That way you can book scrims regularly and then no one's tilted off or there's no drama or anything like that. So you have to keep your team in very good shape PR-wise. You're the main contact for the HOTS roster. So if anyone wanted to contact you within the org or outside of the org, they would go to you. So you had to be a good spokesperson, a good person to talk to people. And that's where some of the sponsorship stuff comes in. A lot of times when some of the smaller sponsors or when newer sponsors were coming into the hot scene didn't like either do their research or didn't know where to contact us at or didn't know how to go about getting into esports, they would just manage the first thing they saw. So they would go to the website and say, oh, this is the manager for the team, let me contact him, instead of contacting the guy who did sponsorship acquisition, right, or the marketing manager or anything like that. Because especially there's a lot of wishy-washy stuff. You'll see bigger orgs with thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on Twitter and famous Twitch streamers and stuff, but they have their marketing managers like 15 or something. So like, not saying that they don't do work, but it can be very off-putting to companies. Like, say if HyperX looks into your team and they see your website and you have a pretty good and like looking website and it's very readable and stuff.
They do
go
the
through
research.
Yeah, I mean everyone does. So you go through and you look at what kind of roster, what kind of staff you have, and do a little bit of research on these people, and you see that their marketing manager is 15. That instantly just like what? Why would you put a 15-year-old in charge of your brand, kind of thing? Right. So you have to be kind of picky and choosy, and a lot of it comes down to how you represent yourself. And that was a big thing about being a manager, is just making sure that they had everything that they needed. If they came to you and was like, hey, I need you to call me at 10 a.m. to make sure I'm up. Hey, could you figure out what's going on with the sponsorship stuff? Like, hey, when are jerseys coming out? Hey, my paycheck was late. Hey, when can we expect this? You're basically the link between them and the org. A lot of the times when you're on orgs, they don't have day-to-day contact with any of their teams. I'm not saying for everyone, but a lot of the time it's a very one-way or two-way street between like two people, like the manager and then the org, or they have a general manager that talks to the team, or a general manager that talks to a manager of the team. So it's not like a you go to the CEO, you sit down at his desk and say, hey, I want jersey with Powerpuff Girls on it. It's like, you don't do that kind of stuff. Same thing like you do in real life. You wouldn't walk up to your CEO and say, hey, I want a raise. It's like, no, you got to go up to the person that's above you. It's a chain of command kind of thing. But
right. So
I don't remember what the original question was. Sorry. I just kind of went off the rant. My bad, dude. Feel free to cut me off at any point.
You were definitely covering it well. It's just basically like, what did you have to do as a manager for Arc 2 and just in general, yeah. So I guess one of my final questions would be, do you still do music with your band? Is that still something you pursue? I'm sure like as a musician you do like occasionally just music projects, but I know colleagues probably have you tied up, but just wondering.
No, when I can give you a little bit of backstory on the music stuff. I was very heavily into music for as long as I can remember. That's the only thing I did. I didn't go out to school parties. I didn't, go hang out with friends. I went to school, came back and practiced for 6 to 8 hours every day. And I did that for the duration of my schooling and whatnot. Up until I started when I was around 13 or 14, I started playing in bands. I started playing out at bars and doing gigs and going on little mini stretches and stuff. And in my mom's van. And I was very, very heavily involved, and I was going to do that, and I was determined that that was going to be the thing that I did for the rest of my life. I was very good. I competed in competitions and stuff. I was going to do DCI. I was going to do drumline stuff for colleges until my parents basically told me, "Hey, we want to get you a drum set." And I was like, I don't know. I want to go to DCI. I want to be part of the Blue Devils or something. And they got me a drum set one year for Christmas, and it was kind of all downhill from that. I just went from core to the set. And that's when I started gigging and everything else. And then I went to after I graduated high school, I went to 1 year of college. I was a music major. I majored in piano. I did choir stuff there. Piano, I did private lessons. I did a bunch of history stuff. I did music theory. And then after I did a year of that, I was fully attention. I was going to be going back the next year. I had no intentions not to. But I ended up joining a pretty popular band in the South at the time. And we went off to record a album with A Day to Remember. I don't know if you guys know who A Day to Remember is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went out and recorded an
That's
EP
awesome.
with their guitar players, and came back, and they ended up fucking us over. So we gave them I forgot how much it was, $10,000 to do this EP with us, and they never gave us anything back. And
it's always the story with those bigger bands. It's something like that.
It's fucking shitty. I bought one of those guys a McRib too. I'm fucking salty still about that shit.
Dude, the $10,000's one thing, but the second, dude,
the fucking McRib.
The McRib is sentimental.
It really is.
There was meaning to the McRib.
But
that's wrong.
After that, we ended up going off to record. We recorded for almost 2 months in a studio in Alabama, with the drummer for I don't remember what the name was. Some popular heavier band at the time. And he had his own studio set up and everything, really nice. We stayed at his studio. He had a apartment set up as well with a full kitchen and bathroom and everything. So we stayed there for about 2 months and a month and a half. And when we came back, within a week of coming back, we decided to move. And this was all over the summer between my semesters. So we talked about it. We decided to move. One of the guys in the band had a sugar mama, basically, in Cincinnati that had a lot of money. She had a lot of money. And she was willing to pay for everything to ship us out there, to let us move. There was we had 6 or 7 members in the band. We had 3 guitar players, a bassist, a drummer, and 2 singers.
So why not? Let's go for it.
And yeah, I mean, we could have if we did it right, but we were young and stupid and shit. But we had this old lady that, well, not old, she was 35, 40, but she is rich as shit, and she's willing to ship us out across the country and pay for everything. We didn't have to pay for shit. We just had to worry about music. Fuck yeah, especially after Katrina. I lived down south. Sorry, I don't think I said that. I lived down south, in the dirty by New Orleans, Gulfport, stuff like that, Mobile, Alabama, Mississippi. And after Katrina hit, there's no places to play. Music scene completely died. so we had to move to be able to play, and we moved up there.
Yeah.
Played TLDR, played for a couple of years. We ended up, some of the members left, couldn't deal with it anymore, so they left. We picked up new guys, and then one of those guys that we picked up, he was a recovering drug addict. We knew him from another band. He was very friendly. We picked him up. We let him live with us. We gave him like a house. One of the guys gave him a job too at his employment. And everything was going well for a couple months. We went on a bunch of stretches. We toured every couple of months for a long while. It was very fun. We did that for four and a half years. That's what we did up until the end. At the end, we picked up that new guy, and he ended up stealing 10 grand of equipment and selling it at pawn shops, and then buying a bus ticket to Florida. We never saw him again.
Oh man.
And so with that 10 grand of equipment went basically all of my equipment.
Always goes downhill from there.
Yeah, so I had nothing to play with.
Shit.
I had no money to purchase, it was like 4 or 5 grand of equipment he stole from me personally. So I didn't have the money to replace it, so I ended up just throwing in the towel. I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something else. So I moved from Cincinnati back down with my parents for a couple months, and then I moved in with my girlfriend up here, and that was 2 years ago. That was right before
The managing
2ARC stuff.
2ARC, yeah.
Yeah, that's right before 2ARC stuff. And then yeah, so I don't really play anymore. I still have some stuff here and there. My kit is still with my parents, but once we are able to get our own house and our own place and stuff, it'll be awesome. Right now we're living in her parents', she has a finished basement, basically like a huge studio apartment, and it's awesome. They rent super cheap for being in New York, so that's why we're staying here, so we don't have to dish out money that we don't need to. And we're chilling here for a while. She just finished up grad school. She's a mental health counselor, and I am a professional memer.
Hell yeah. Playing for
doing pretty
Breakaway.
well.
Enix, or sorry, I don't want to get the name wrong. What's the
Yeah,
name?
it's
Enix.
Enix.
Okay.
They have an Overwatch squad too. I think they did. I don't know if they do still. I'd have to look it up, but
I don't know. There's a lot of orgs that came left, man.
I mean, I don't blame
You never
them
know
either.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. For real.
I don't blame any
I don't
org
think
that
they
leaves
they
at
don't.
this rate. Yeah.
Smite, Vainglory, CS:GO, Breakaway, Rocket League, Smash, and Brawlhalla is what we're in right now as Enix. They're a bunch of good dudes. We started, me and one of the producers for Cal League that did all the spectating camera work. Me, him, one of the friends that we knew that played competitive Overwatch, and one of the HOTS players that I managed while on 2ARC. We started playing Breakaway together, and then ended up getting picked up by them last week, and we've been playing, and it's pretty fun, pretty cool, pretty good. But yeah, that's the story of me, basically.
Very cool. So where can we find you at on Twitter and your stream link?
You can find me on Twitter at iKhon_. That's IKHON_. If you're looking to get any kind of graphics work or anything like that, you can check out my portfolio on my website, iKhonGG.com. Besides that, I mean, if you want to go like my Instagram stuff, I'll post memes there once in a while. That's iKhonGG as well. I think that's it. I think that's all the important stuff.
Cool. And Jones guys, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at JoneSkisOW, and then I think just JoneSkis anywhere else. Just how you'd spell it, JONESKIS. Easy peasy.
Joneskis.
Lemon squeezy.
Okay.
That's about it though.
And my Twitter handle is XRYZ_OW, and my stream link is the same for that. And I am a Symmetra only memer. Sometimes when I'm playing scrims or doing more serious, I know you hate me for that.
It's disgusting. I don't appreciate it.
In competitive play and in scrims and tournaments, I actually flex support picks, so I switch it up. But
Get the Ma! He's a Symmetra main!
definitely make comp as cancerous as possible. Anyways, so that's me. I also run OWCraft, the org that's sponsoring this podcast, or basically running it. And what we do is we're a team agency, so we give resources to teams and do team building type of stuff. And that's about it. It's just kind of, I'm trying to expand it into like the Overwatch cosplay community and have like an arts focus and just try to make some more content as well. But I'm not sure what we're doing exactly with that. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And so Bailey, where can we find you at on social media and whatnot?
Probably just my Twitter or my Twitch, which my Twitter is just Bailey9, and then my Twitch is just Queen Equestrian, and I stream Monday through Friday. So, yeah.
Queen Equestrian. That's the place to go.
Boom.
So
Boom,
that-
bang.
Good
boom.
quality toxic
Nice and
Mercy
easy.
main memes. X Mercy
X,
main, actually.
X.
I now play Ana as well.
There you go.
so did you walk into a bar once with another Mercy main?
Then I will win any bar fight with a
We
Mercy
don't-
main, okay?
I don't challenge that actually.
Probably
Anyways.
beat my ass.
So that concludes the OWCraft podcast. We talk about the meta and the state of the Overwatch game and the tournament scene. Each week we have a special guest on the show. This week was iKhonGG.
Hey, baby.
Owner of Softlock and Cali. And next week I think we're going to be joined by PvP Twitch, which should be interesting. The Junkrat.
More one tricks. More one tricks. You're just
I think
you
we
just
need
don't
to-
like me. You just
you're a man amongst one
you
tricks.
just want to trigger me, man. It's over. We're done here.
So, and then we're joined by our hosts Bailey, Joan Skies, and X Rise. So that was our cast for the week. It is every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you next week.